Good afternoon, everyone. Today's October 24th, 2022. It's approximately 1 o'clock p.m., and this is the date and the time that's scheduled for the consolidated hearing in 5 dockets. And let me read these into the record. First, docket 22057-13, the application of Dominion Energy for an adjustment to the low-income assistance/energy assistance rate. Second, docket 22-057-14, the application of Dominion Energy Utah to amortize the energy efficiency deferred account balance. Third, docket 22057-15, the application of Dominion Energy Utah to amortize the conservation enabling tariff balancing account. Fourth, docket 22-057-16, the pass-through application of Dominion Energy Utah for an adjustment in rates and charges for natural gas service in Utah. And finally, fifth, docket 22-057-17, the application of Dominion Energy Utah for an adjustment to the daily transportation imbalance charge. My name is John Delaney, and I'm the Commission's designated presiding officer for this hearing. Why don't we start with appearances?
I'm Jennifer Clark. I'm counsel for Dominion Energy, and I've brought with me 3 witnesses for the company: Jordan Stevenson, Jessica Ibsen, and Jesse Jackson.
Thank you. Let's go with the office since we're going in order.
Robert Moore of the AG's office, representing the Office of Consumer Services. The office didn't participate extensively in these dockets and will not have a witness.
Okay, thank you. For the division?
Thank you. Patricia E. Schmid with the Utah Attorney General's Office, representing the Division of Public Utilities. The division has 3 witnesses today. First, we have Russ Kazar, Shauna Benvenu Springer, and Ryan Daigle. Mr. Kazar will be handling 3 of the dockets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything preliminarily that we should talk about, or should we just get going? Okay, please, Ms. Clark, why don't you call your first witness? Oh, I'm sorry, and let's go in order, just to be clear, 13 through 17.
Perfect. Thank you.
Call your first witness, please.
The company calls Jordan Stevenson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Stevenson.
Good afternoon.
Do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Stevenson, please state your full name and business address for the record, please.
It's Jordan Stevenson, 333 South State, Salt Lake City, Utah.
And what position do you hold with the company?
Manager of Regulation.
Mr. Stevenson, the company filed an application in this docket along with accompanying exhibits 1.1 through 1.3. Did you prepare those or cause them to be prepared?
Yes,
And do you adopt the contents of those documents as your testimony today?
yes,
The company moves for the admission of the application and accompanying exhibits 1.1 through 1.3.
Any objections to the motion? Okay, motion granted, they're
Thank-
admitted.
Thank you. Mr. Stevenson, can you please summarize the relief the company seeks with this application?
yes, I can. In this docket, the company requests an adjustment to the low-income assistance rate. This will result in an annual increase of 2 cents for a typical customer and allow the program to maintain the funding level of $1.5 million per year. The company is also proposing to maintain the current annual energy assistance credit at $107 per qualifying customer per year, which would be credited to an estimated 15,700 participants during the upcoming heating season. In addition, the company proposes a contribution of $751,147 to the Utah Department of Workforce Services Housing and Community Development Weatherization Assistance Program over the next 12 months. The proposed rates are just and reasonable and in the public interest. Therefore, the company requests that the rates be approved going into effect on November 1st, 2022. This concludes my summary.
Mr. Stevenson, I believe I misspoke when I identified the number of exhibits. Did you cause also to be prepared DEU Exhibits 1.4 and 1.5?
Yes, I did.
And do you adopt those also as your testimony today?
Yes.
The company would move for the admission of those additional exhibits.
Any objections to that motion? Motion's granted, they're admitted.
Thank you. Mr. Stevenson is available for cross-examination and hearing officers' questions.
The office has no questions.
The division has no questions.
The company has nothing further on this docket.
We have no witness. I'm authorized to state that the OCS, consistent with its comments filed in this docket, recommends that the PSC approve DEU's proposal to transfer the surplus energy assistance programs funds to the low-income weathering programs funds for the reasons contained in the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Ms. Schmid, do you have any witnesses on this docket?
We do. The division would like to call Russell Kazar. May he please be sworn?
Mr. Kazar, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, my name's Russell Kazer, Russell. Last name Cazier.
By whom are you employed?
The Division of Public Utilities,
What is your title
utility analyst.
and your business address?
It's 160 East, 300 South, Salt Lake City.
In conjunction with your employment by the division, have you participated in this docket, which ends in 13, the adjustment to the low-income energy assistance rates?
I have.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared and filed a memorandum dated October 19th, 2022, in both redacted and confidential form?
Yes.
This docket, or this action request response covers 3 dockets, 13, 15, and 16. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do you adopt this action request response insofar as it pertains to the docket ending in 13 as part of your testimony here today?
I do.
Do you have a summary to present today with respect to the 13 docket?
Yes.
Please proceed.
The Energy Assistance Program provides an annual credit for enrolled low-income customers. In docket 22-057-13, Dominion requests a rate change to collect the $77,104 under collection in addition to the base approved amount of $1.5 million. The company estimates that 15,700 qualified customers will apply for the credit and a request to maintain the current credit of $107 per customer. If approved independently, the effect of this change for the typical GS residential customer in Utah using 70 decatherms per year will be an increase in their total annual bill of 2 cents. The proposed change is in the public's interest and represents just and reasonable rates for Utah customers. The division recommends the commission approve the requested rate change in this docket for the energy assistance as a final rate with an effective date of November 1st, 2022, as it is not subject to a division audit. This concludes my summary.
Thank you. Could you please tell me how to pronounce your last name yet again?
It's Kazer.
Kazer. Mr. Kazer is now available for cross-examination questions and questions from the hearing officer.
No questions, thank you.
I have no questions. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next docket, which is docket ending in 1-4. Ms. Clark, would you like to call your first witness?
I would. The company once again calls Mr. Stevenson. Mr. Stevenson, I believe you're still under oath. I will remind you of that. Can you please state your name and business address once more for the record?
Yes, it's Jordan Stevenson, 333 South State, Salt Lake City, Utah.
Mr. Stevenson, in the 14 docket that we are discussing at the moment, the company filed an application along with accompanying exhibits 1.1 through 1.6. Did you prepare these documents or cause them to be prepared?
Yes.
And do you adopt their contents as your testimony today?
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson, could you please summarize the relief the company seeks in this docket?
Yes, I can. In this docket, the company seeks approval to adjust the energy efficiency rate in order to amortize the current energy efficiency account balance. As of August 31st, 2022, the deferred account balance amounted to a credit of $1,356,478. With this adjustment to the rate, the company will collect the necessary revenue while minimizing interest expense for customers and the company. If approved, this would result in a decrease of $5.23 per year, or 0.69%, paid by a typical customer using 70 decatherms per year. The proposed rates are just, reasonable, and in the public interest, and the company requests that the rates be approved on an interim basis, with rates going into effect on November 1st, 2022. And this concludes my summary.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. The company would move for the admission of the application and accompanying exhibits 1.1 through 1.6.
Thank you. Any objections? Mr. Moore? No? Ms. Schmidt?
No objections.
Okay, motion granted. They're admitted.
Thank you. Mr. Stevenson is now available for cross-examination and the hearing officer's questions.
Any cross-examination?
No cross, thank you.
Ms. Schmidt?
Nothing from the division?
Nothing from me either. Thank you.
The company has nothing further on this docket.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Ms. Schmidt, do you have a witness for this docket 14?
Yes, the division's witness is Ms. Shauna Benvenue-Springer. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, Shauna Benvenue-Springer, S-H-A-U-N-A, Benvenue is B-E-N, V as in Victor, E-G-N-U dash Springer, S-P-R-I-N-G-E-R.
By whom are you employed?
I'm employed by the Utah Division of Public Utilities.
Your title?
My title is Utility Technical Consultant,
And your business address, please.
160 East, 300 South, Salt Lake City, Utah.
Let me interrupt for a sec. I'm sorry, I didn't swear the witness.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Ms. Benvenue-Springer, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you swear to tell the truth here today?
I do.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Please
you.
proceed.
Ms. Benvenue-Springer, did you participate in the preparation and filing of the division's action request response dated October 19th, 2022 in this docket?
I did.
Do you adopt this response as part of your testimony here today?
I do.
The division would like to request the admission of its action request response dated October 19th, 2022 in docket number 22057-14.
No objection.
No objection.
Do you have a summary to present today?
I do.
Please proceed.
On September 30th, 2022, Dominion Energy filed its application seeking commission approval to amortize the energy efficiency deferred account balance, decrease the energy efficiency rate, and have the new rate effective November 1st, 2022. The current financial position of the energy efficiency program shows a credit or negative balance of 1.3 million resulting from overcollection from ratepayers. The objective was to calculate a new rate which will collect enough funds to cover the expenses but minimize the amount of interest paid by the company. The account balance is intended to fluctuate above or below zero during the year with an intended net interest close to zero. The company provided two rate analysis scenarios, A, a rate with no change, and B, a rate decrease to 0.20321 cents. The division conducted a third analysis scenario, C, a rate of 0.23000 that was in the middle. Scenarios A and C result in overcollecting and paying interest. As proposed by Dominion, scenario B should be the new proposed rate because overcollecting and undercollecting will be balanced. The proposed rate decrease would minimize net interest for the effective period of November 1st, 2022 through October 31st, 2023 to zero. Based on the projected balances, the new proposed rate will help meet the financial goals of the energy efficiency program. The proposed energy efficiency amortization rate decreases from the current rate of 0.27767 to 0.20321 per decatherm, or a decrease of 0.07446 cents per decatherm. If the Commission approves this application, the typical residential customer who uses 70 decatherms a year will see a reduction in their annual bill of $5.23 or 0.67%, independent of any other decrease or increase of any other natural gas rates. The division supports Dominion's request to amortize the energy efficiency deferred account balance and decrease the rate, and recommends that the Commission approve the application on an interim basis until the division completes a more thorough review and audit. Final recommendations will be provided later. The proposed rate is in the public interest and represents just and reasonable rates for Utah customers. The division reviewed the tariff sheets and recommended that the Commission approve the application as presented. The division will continue to monitor the overall program and individual measures to ensure that the public's interest continues to be served. This concludes my summary. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Benvenue Springer is now available for cross-examination questions and questions from the hearing officer.
No questions, thank you.
No questions here, thank you.
Thank you.
The division has nothing further in this docket.
Which is the docket ending 1-5.
Thank you. We once again call Mr. Stevenson, and I will remind you once again, you're still under oath. Mr. Stevenson, I will skip the pleasantries and introductions because I think we know who you are now. I will ask you, however, the company filed in this docket an application with accompanying exhibits 1.1 through 1.5. Did you also prepare this application and accompanying exhibits, or did you cause them to be prepared by someone else?
Yes.
Do you adopt their contents as your testimony today?
Yes.
The company moves for the admission of the application and accompanying exhibits 1.1 through 1.5.
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you. Mr. Stevenson, can you please summarize the relief the company seeks in this docket?
Yes. In this docket, the company requests to amortize the Conservation Enabling Tariff Balancing Account. Section 2.08 of the company's tariff requires that the company file a Conservation Enabling Tariff amortization application at least annually with the Commission, and this filing meets that requirement. As of August 31st, 2022, the company, as of August 31st, 2022, the balance in the balancing account was $4,112,009. If approved, this would result in an increase of 81 cents or 0.11% paid by a typical customer using 70 decatherms per year. The proposed rates are just, reasonable, and in the public interest. Therefore, the company requests that the rates be approved with rates going into effect on November 1st, 2022. And this concludes my summary.
Mr. Stevenson's available for cross-examination and hearing officers' questions.
No questions, thank you.
No questions, thank you.
The company has nothing further on this docket.
Yes, the division once again calls Mr. Kazer, and he is still under oath. Mr. Kazer, previously we discussed an action request response that the division prepared and filed in 3 dockets. The docket of interest presently is the one ending in 15, the amortization of the conservation enabling tariff. Did you prepare and cause to be filed this action request response in confidential and redacted form insofar as it pertains to docket ending in 15?
Yes.
Do you adopt the contents of this action request response insofar as it pertains to the docket ending in 15 as your testimony here today?
I do, but I do have one typo in this portion.
Could you please give us that correction?
Yes, the statement indicating the previous filing amount was 4.1 in the memorandum, and it should be 2.8 million.
And
Be on page 12.
could you give us further direction?
Page 12, it appears to be line 4.
Thank you very much. With that correction, do you adopt the contents of the action request response insofar as it relates to docket ending in 15?
Yes, yes,
Do you have a summary to present today?
I do. The
Please
con-
proceed.
The conservation enabling tariff rate is designed to allow Dominion to collect the commission authorized revenue per customer. In docket 22-057-15, Dominion requests to amortize the August 2022 under-collected balance of $4.1 million. Their previous filing, which was 21-05720, requested to amortize an under-collected balance of $2.8 million. If approved independently, the effect of this change for the typical GS residential customer using 70 decatherms per year will see an increase in their total annual bill of 81 cents or 0.11%. The proposed change is in the public's interest and represents just and reasonable rates for Utah customers. The division recommends the commission approve the requested rate change in docket 22-05715 as a final rate with the November 1, 2022 effective date, as it is not subject to a division audit. This concludes my summary.
Thank you. Mr. Kazer is now available for questions from the parties and from the hearing officer.
Mr. Moore, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Clark, any questions?
I have no questions, thanks.
Okay. I have no questions either, thank you.
The division has nothing further in this docket. Thank you.
Okay, let's move to the next docket, 22-057-16. Ms. Clark?
Thank you. The company is going to give Mr. Stevenson a break, and we instead call Jessica Ibsen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Ms. Ibsen, do you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Great, thank you.
Ms. Ibsen, please state your full name and business address for the record.
My name is Jessica Ibsen. My address is my business address is 333 South State Street, Salt Lake City, Utah.
And what position do you hold with the company?
I'm a regulatory specialist.
Ms. Ibsen, in this docket, the company filed an application with accompanying exhibits 1.1 through 1.8. Did you prepare or cause those to be prepared?
Yes,
And do you have any corrections to those documents?
I do have one correction. If you would go to DEU Exhibit 1.5, page 1. On line number 3, column F, the 191 account balance for commodity costs, that total should tie to footnote number 2. So that amount should be $61,126,894. And then since that number changed, the total in line number 4, column F, that total would be $817,798,563. And then the last correction on this sheet is footnote 4. It says prior RIN proceeds, docket number. That docket number should actually read 22-057-08.
And with those corrections, do you adopt the contents of the application and the accompanying exhibits as your testimony today?
Yes.
The company moves for the admission of the corrected application and accompanying exhibits 1.1 through 1.8.
Thank you. Any objections,
No objections from the office.
Ms. Schmidt?
None from the division.
Okay, thank you. Motion granted.
Thank you. Ms. Ibsen, can you please summarize the relief the company seeks with this application?
Yes. In pass-through docket number 22-05716, Dominion Energy respectfully asked the Utah Public Service Commission for approval of $845,082,562 in Utah gas cost coverage. This represents an overall increase of $1,128,167,379. The components of this increase are first, an increase of $128,046,117 in commodity costs, and second, an increase of $121,262 in supplier non-gas costs. The increase being proposed in this filing is due to higher forecasted gas costs for the test period. This request includes updating the amortization of the commodity portion of the actual August 2022 under-collected 191 balance of $61,126,894 by a 53.231 cent per decatherm debit surcharge. RIN proceeds of $139,370 were generated through the company's CNG station, decreasing the NGV class commodity by a credit of 48.096 cents per decatherm. The company is also requesting to continue to amortize the undercollected SNG costs of $3,222,746, which leads to the debit amortization charges shown on Exhibit 1.5, page 6. The cost of purchased gas was developed using forecasted gas prices from both S&P Global Platts and IHS Markit. The LNG facility will be placed into service during this test period. Those costs associated with the LNG facility have been directly assigned to the FS and GS classes. As the division mentioned in their action response request dated on October 19, 2022, the company did meet with the division and agreed to partially fill the LNG tank to have the potential withdrawal availability of this winter season of 3 to 4 days. At this storage level, it would also allow the company to conduct operational testing of the new facility. If this application is approved, a typical Utah GS customer using 70 decatherms per year would see an increase of $78.16, or a total annual increase of about 10.29%. These rates are just, reasonable, and in the public interest. Therefore, we request the rates proposed in commodity and SNG be allowed to go into effect on November 1st, 2022 on an interim basis.
Ms. Ibsen is now available for cross-examination or commission questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ibsen. Mr. Moore?
No questions.
Ms. Schmidt, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. And you've answered my question, so thank you. Why don't we go to the division's witness on docket number 6, ending 16?
Thank you. The division's witness in this docket is Mr. Kazer, once again, who has been sworn. Mr. Kazer, in conjunction with your employment at the division, did you prepare or cause to be prepared and filed the division's action request response dated October 19th in both confidential and redacted form insofar as it pertains to the docket ending in 16?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any corrections to this response insofar as it pertains to that docket?
I do have one final correction, yes.
Could you please direct us to that?
Yes, it would be on page 13, in which I indicated that the effective date, I put a typo in there as 2023. It's on the second paragraph, line 2, and that should be 2022.
With that correction, do you adopt the contents of this division action request response insofar as it pertains to the docket ending in 16 as part of your testimony here today?
Yes, I do.
With that, the division would like to move for the admission of its consolidated action request response in dockets ending in 13, 15, and 16. Yes, please.
Okay, any objections, Mr. Moore?
No objections, thank you.
Ms. Clark, any objections?
No objection.
Okay, motion granted. They are all admitted.
Thank you. Mr. Kazair, do you have a summary to present today?
I do.
Please proceed.
In docket 22-057-16, or the pass-through application, Dominion requests approval to increase the commodity rates and charges for natural gas service by $128.1 million. The proposal includes an increase of $121,000 in the supplier non-gas portion of the rates, and a $128 million increase in the commodity portion of the rates. As of August 31st, 2022, the commodity portion of the 191 account was undercollected by $61.1 million, and Dominion is proposing to establish a debt amortization of 53 cents per decatherm to recover the undercollection. The driving force behind the commodity price increase is higher forecasted natural gas costs for the test year ending October 31st, 2023. The filing consists of cost of service gas from Wexpro, contract and market purchases, partial filling of the LNG storage tank, other additional storage, and transportation costs as well. The projected cost is an increase of 66 cents per decatherm in the cost of service gas and an increase of $1.52 for this per decatherm for contract and market purchase gas compared to June 1st, 2022 in the filing. This filing represents the second largest increase in natural gas costs this year and is directly related to the high market price of purchased gas. At the LNG facility, its delayed completion in 2022 has resulted in a later than anticipated start to filling the LNG storage tank. This delay will limit opportunities for the facility's use during the 2022-2023 heating season. The division has expressed concern about the prudence of fully filling the LNG storage tank during this heating season, while forecast prices are high. The division and the company have discussed partially filling approximately 30 to 40% of the LNG storage tank, which would allow for 3 to 4 days of LNG withdrawal for any possible opportunities of need this season. The company should continue to monitor the market price and use prudence and good judgment in determining when to make market purchases to completely fill the new LNG storage tank. If this filing is approved, the effect of its change for the typical GS residential customer using 70 decatherms per year will see an increase in their total annual bill of $78.16, or approximately $10.29%. The division has reviewed the Dominion's application and finds the proposed rate increase to be just and reasonable for Utah customers, and recommends the commission approve the rate changes as outlined by Dominion in this docket on an interim basis with the proposed effective date of November 1st, 2022. This concludes my summary.
Thank you. Mr. Kazare is now available for cross-examination questions and questions from the hearing officer.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Clark?
I have no questions.
I have one question. On the timing of the filling of the LNG facility, I thought I understood from Ms. Ibsen's testimony that you guys have come to some sort of agreement about how much it would be filled and when. Did I misunderstand that concept?
No, that was correct.
Okay, so Ms.
Yeah.
Ibsen's testimony was
We both spoke
reflecting.
to the same amounts.
Yeah, and it was a little more definitive about that an agreement has been reached on that?
Yes.
Great. That's the only question I had.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
The division has nothing further. Thank you.
Why don't we move to the final docket, which is docket ending number 17.
The company calls Jesse Jackson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jackson.
Good afternoon.
Do you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Jackson, please state your full name and business address for the record.
My name is Jesse Jackson. My business address is 333 South State Street, Salt Lake City, Utah.
What position do you hold with the company?
I'm a regulatory specialist.
Mr. Jackson, the company has submitted an application with accompanying exhibits 1.1 through 1.3 in this docket. Did you prepare those or cause them to be prepared?
Yes.
Do you adopt the contents of those documents as your testimony today?
Yes, I do.
The company moves for the admission of the application and exhibits 1.1 through 1.3.
Any objections, Mr. Moore?
No objection.
Ms. Schmidt?
No objection.
Okay, motion granted.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson, please summarize the relief the company seeks in this application.
Yes, in this docket, the company requests an adjustment to the transportation imbalance charge to appropriately collect costs associated with managing imbalanced decatherms transported on the company's distribution system. The proposed imbalance charge reflects costs borne by the company to manage net imbalanced decatherms of transportation service customers divided by the imbalanced decatherms over the 5% tolerance threshold. The resulting imbalance rate of $9.45 is 10% higher than the previous transportation imbalance charge. This charge will only be applied to transportation service volumes that differ from nomination volumes by more than 5%. The transportation imbalance charge continues to serve its intended purpose and is just, reasonable, and in the public interest. The company requests approval of these interim rates effective November 1st, 2022. And this concludes my summary. Thank you.
Mr. Jackson's available for cross-examination and hearing officers' questions.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Schmidt, any questions?
I do have one for clarification purposes. Mr. Jackson, is it possible that you provided a number in dollars when it should have been in cents?
That is very possible. Let me see, the rate is, yeah, a 0.945 cents.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can we have the record reflect specifically where that is?
The new proposed rate is on Exhibit 1.1, column J, line 11.
Okay, thank you. Does that align with what you see, Ms. Schmidt?
It does, thank
Okay,
you.
great, thank you, Mr. Jackson. I don't have any questions for you right now, so let's go to the division's witness, please.
How embarrassing. Okay, I thought it was all silent, but apparently if you have an alarm set, it rings too. So, here we go. For this docket, the division's witness is Mr. Ryan Daigle. May he please be sworn.
Good afternoon, Mr. Daigle. Do you swear to tell the truth?
Afternoon. Yes, I do.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Ryan Daigle, RyanDaigle,
By whom are you employed?
the Division of Public Utilities,
Your title?
Utility Analyst,
And your business address.
160 East, 300 South, Salt Lake City.
In conjunction with your employment at the division, did you cause the division's action request response in the docket ending in 17 to be filed in both confidential and redacted form?
Yes,
Do you have any changes or corrections to that action request response?
I do not.
Do you adopt that action request response as your testimony here today?
Yes,
With that, the division would like to move for the admission of its confidential and redacted action request response in the docket ending in 17 in both confidential and redacted form.
Thank you. Any objections, Mr. Moore?
No objections from the office.
Okay, Ms. Clark?
No objections.
Okay, motion granted.
Thank you. Do you have a summary to present today, Mr. Daigle?
I do.
Please proceed.
Thank you. The Transportation Imbalance Charge was established to charge transportation customers for the supplier non-gas services which are being used on the company's natural gas distribution system. The calculation of this rate is based on the methodology approved in Docket 14-057-31 and is to be adjusted with each pass-through filing and in the general rate case. This is the second adjustment in 2022, and with this docket, the proposed adjustment represents a change from 8.592 cents to 9.449 cents per decatherm, and is calculated based on the actual volumes of gas used by the transportation customers for the 12 months ending August 31st, 2022. This rate applies to customers who are taking service under the transportation rate schedules, and any amount collected is credited to GS customers through the 191 account. This transportation imbalance charge rate does not impact all transportation customers and applies only when customers' nominations are outside of a 5% daily tolerance limit. Transportation customers can minimize or entirely avoid the TIC through transportation imbalance charge through accurate daily gas nominations. Based on our initial review, the division believes that the requested changes and the resulting rates are just, reasonable, and in the public interest. The division recommends that the proposed rate and changes be approved on an interim basis until a full audit review of the 191 account can be completed. This concludes my summary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Daigle is now available for cross-examination questions and questions from the hearing officer.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Clark, any questions?
I have no questions, thanks.
I've got a quick question for you. So in preparation for this hearing, I was looking at some earlier dockets and transcripts, and similar to this docket, there's been a concern expressed by the division about the accuracy of the gas nomination processes and the impact of transportation customers on DEU's distribution system. And I think that's actually echoed on page 3 of the filing. I just want to know, have you all had any discussions recently about this issue?
We have.
Okay.
But beyond that, we're going to sit down with the company, review it, and determine what's going on with those imbalances.
Okay. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay, great. That's the only question I had. Thank you very much.
The division has nothing further in this docket. Thank you.
Okay, well, we've hit the last number, 17, so I believe that's it. Is there anything else anybody needs to address?
No.
Okay, I know that we have an order that we need to issue as soon as we can with an effective date of November 1st, so we're aware of that, and we will do that. And if there's nothing else, I'll thank you all for your time, and we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job catching the cents. Where's the dollar?